Call Thursday, August 22nd meeting to order. First item on the agenda would be approval of the August 8th, 2024 minutes. Any changes?
I have none.
See none.
Stand as written. Next item on the agenda, approval of the August 13th, 2024 joint meeting minutes with Ellis County.
No changes?
No changes.
Looks good.
Stand as written. Next item on the agenda, financial statement, July 2024.
This is a report of financial summaries of revenue and expenditure activities for the City of Hayes, month ended July 31, 2024. Revenues in July totaled $4,968,000. That's a decrease of $167,500 when we compare to the same period as last year. Some notable areas of increased revenue: the $710,000 increase in miscellaneous for the Airport Improvement Fund includes the new Kansas Highway Patrol building funding. Transient guest tax for the CVB was up $61,000 as compared to the same period last year. Year to date, transient guest tax is up $104,000. Miscellaneous revenue for water reserves increased $144,500 due to the KDOT reimbursement on the Highway 40 bypass waterline project. Notable areas of revenue decrease: capital projects was down $388,000 due mainly to the receipt of $455,000 this time last year from the GO bonds on the Kingsgate Second Edition. Federal aid for general government revenues fell $1.3 million as the ARPA funding transfer occurred at this time a year ago. And in July, residential water consumption was off 14% and business was down 18%. Therefore, total revenue fell $69,000. Year to date, total consumption is still up 2% with revenue up 1%. Expenditures in July totaled $3.5 million. That's a decrease of $1.6 million compared to 2023. Some notable areas of increased expenditure: insurance and surety was up $389,000 due simply to the timing of the payment for property and liability coverage. New equipment reserve increased $581,000 for the purchase of a new pumper fire truck and police department body cameras. And the low service pump rebuild and replacement UV bulbs increased equipment expense $19,000 for water reclamation. Notable areas of decreased expenditure: a major contributing factor to the large expenditure drop mentioned above is due to the $1.3 million ARPA transfer a year ago. Commission capital reserve fell $430,000 due to the purchase of the Main Street property last year. Solid waste reserve expenditures were down $79,000 for the purchase of a compost turner a year ago. And sanitary sewer line repairs at this time a year ago dropped water reclamation reserve expenditures $202,000. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $895,000. That's an increase of $72,600 or 9% compared to last year. Year-to-date sales tax collections were at $5.6 million or $7,500, or basically flat as compared to last year. The 6-month average was also flat, which was a year-over-year decrease of 6.89%. Year-to-date sales tax collections are at $662,000, and those are down 1% or $6,200 for the year. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $184,480 or 5.8%. Those top 10 represent 75% of the total sales tax collections for the running quarter. Finally, the total par value of the U.S. Treasuries for July was $13 million, with a weighted average yield to maturity of 4.5%, up 0.75% from a year ago. Total of the portfolio certificates of deposit on July 31 was $52,684,146. That's a weighted average rate to maturity of 5%. Total balance of the money market account on July 31 was $5 million, with a current yield of 4.158, up 1.5 from a year ago, and total investments were down $2.5 million.
Move approval of financial statement?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Any comments?
I should know this. And are the body cams in use?
Yes.
They've started using them. How long have they been using them?
Probably about a month, I think.
How are things going with them?
Haven't heard anything, but I can find specifics, but nothing's come to our attention.
Good.
That's a good
That
thing.
was fully funded by a grant.
Right.
Yes.
Kim, have you heard anything on what they're projecting the treasuries and interest rates and stuff to do this fall?
I was going to talk about that a little bit later in another agenda item, but
Sorry.
I read an article today that the bond market now indicates a 75% possibility of a 25 basis point cut and a 25% possibility of a 50 point basis cut in September.
They're talking tomorrow, so we'll see what happens
Yep.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Just nice to see sales tax up, which
Sure is.
I expected because it seemed to me I'd seen a lot higher numbers of people in town. So I was expecting to see that jump back up. So it's good to see that
Great.
there is a correlation there. And that sort of helps our month and year to date.
Would agree. That's great news. You good? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments for non-agenda items. Next item would be the consent agenda, update the 27th and Main Street Edition rezoning ordinance number 4054.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, resolution approving a development agreement addendum relating to the Tallgrass Second Edition housing development.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. So in 2020, the city created its first ever reinvestment housing incentive district by partnering with Heart of America, or HOA, on the development of an approximate 75 residential lot subdivision, which was targeted toward moderate income households. The development has been very successful and is nearly built out. In accordance with the economic development policy, Heart of America executed this project on a pay-as-you-go basis. So they paid for the entire project up front, and they're slowly being reimbursed through RHID revenues as they're received. They've exhausted all their liquidity, and they would like to continue developing the Tallgrass Second Edition subdivision. So the developer has proposed the city cash out its position in exchange for more development. So what that would entitle is this agreement would assign the RHID revenues that Heart of America is currently getting. Those revenues would then come to the city. The city would issue a bond to pay Heart of America $2.6 million, $2.565 million, so they can continue developing the next phase of Tallgrass Second Edition, and then the city uses those existing RHID revenues to pay off the bond. As I mentioned last week, what's really nice about this is the homes are already there and generating the necessary revenue. Slight revision to the visual for Commissioner Barrick.
Thank you.
Um,
I feel so
thank
much
you.
better.
Me
Oh,
too.
You have better eyesight than I thought, because I wanted to make it bigger, and so I made it smaller today. With the next proposed, so here you can see the first three phases that were planned when the original development agreement happened in 2020. With the next proposed phase, there will be some alterations to this layout, though, which I'll show. So when Heart of America started this project, they only owned the tract of land shown in the red box. Since then, the organization has purchased the approximately 21 acres to the north in the yellow box, and so with that addition, they're going to have to plat some of that property, which will probably entail changing this curve part into some sort of new arrangement. This is, I'll stress, this is a concept I know Heart of America, Grow Hayes had done a long time ago, so I wouldn't envision this is what it's going to look like, but just give you an idea of their additional lots that will be developed. Approximately 90 residential lots will be part of this agreement. So the addendum, in exchange for cashing out Heart of America will commit to developing at least another 90 residential lots. The next phase will be financed with an RHID. Heart of America will put down a 30% cash deposit with the city, and the city will finance this project. This is just like the way the city has financed traditional subdivisions. However, instead of special assessments, RHID revenues will pay for the eligible costs. And then as an additional incentive for the developer, they can be refunded that 30% if within 5 years, the development is projected to generate annual increment necessary to cover the debt service. So the city will issue or will provide a economic grant for $2.565 million to Heart of America. The RHID bonds will be issued in order to cash out Heart of America, and then those revenues will be assigned to the city. The projections do estimate that this will pay for itself. City Commission has the following options to approve or decline or other direction. And here's the action requested.
I move we adopt resolution number 2024-019, approving the development agreement addendum as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Barrick. Comments?
I just love how we're doing this stuff, and it's just all kind of, let's do the next thing, let's do the next thing, when we never did anything before. I'm really proud of us. I'm proud of Grow Hayes and their ability to think outside the box to get us to where we are today.
Good. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, ordinance authorizing the city to issue bonds to fund an economic development grant.
Good afternoon, Kim Rupp, Director of Finance. Recent support of economic development incentives with the Heart of America Development Corporation and the Tallgrass Second Edition has precipitated the need to seek a bond issuance to finance the project, but also foster continuation of development in that area. Therefore, we're before you to talk about a bond issuance. You just heard about the project called Tallgrass Second and its success, entering into and amending the development agreement associated with Tallgrass Second, as well as the intention to provide a grant to Heart of America to foster continued development. Approval of the grant ordinance would allow the city to issue general obligation bonds to fund that grant. So the first thing to be approved is the proposed home rule ordinance. The ordinance enacts KSA 12-1617H, authorizing the use of funds for economic development purposes, basically allowing a grant to be offered to the Heart of America. Article 12, subsection 5 of the Constitution of the State of Kansas empowers the city, under the Home Rule Amendment, to issue the general obligation bonds. By doing so, it allows the city to foster continued development of the Tallgrass Second Edition. This is pretty straightforward. I know we're asking you to probably sign a lot of blank documents at this point, but in the realm of bond issuances, things don't happen until they're sold, so that's what we're asking. So options tonight are to adopt the ordinance, decline to approve, or provide us with other direction, and this would be our action requested.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4057, authorizing the city to issue bonds to fund an economic development grant.
Second. You got it.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Barrick. Haven't heard his name that much. So. I don't think it matters, does it? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, resolution authorizing the city to issue bonds to finance the advanced metering infrastructure.
Still Kim Rupp, Finance Director. Back in June.
That's good.
Back in June, Jeff Crispin
that.
came before you and got approval for an advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI. AMI is an integrated system of water meters, communication networks, and data management systems that enables two-way communication between meter endpoints and utilities. We're very excited about that in the clerk finance office. Total upfront cost was a not to exceed amount of $4,448,672. As Jeff continues to progress on that project, he will begin to spend money. Therefore, we're here to talk about the issuance of temporary notes for the project. We're asking to begin with temporary notes for the project because back in June, Jeff mentioned that not all the meters will be placed all at once. The number is still yet to be determined, and given the total cost of the AMI is very dependent on the number of new meters put in, temporary notes will give us the flexibility to start the project, fully or fund the expenditures, and then do a full general obligation bond in the end. This resolution presented falls under KSA 65-163D through 163U, and it authorizes the city to acquire, construct, reconstruct, improve, equip, rehabilitate, or extend all or any part of the public water supply system, and to issue general obligation bonds to pay all or part of those costs. And those costs authorized include construction, engineering, installation, acquisition, contingency, and admin. I could never memorize anything.
I wouldn't ask you to.
Again, very straightforward. Options tonight would be to adopt, decline, or provide us with other direction. This would be our action requested.
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-020, authorizing the city to issue bonds to finance the advanced metering infrastructure.
Second. Give Commissioner Cunningham.
You guys are
second.
good. You guys are good tonight.
Also excited.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. You said Mr. Crispin will be spending money. We're going to rely on you to make sure Mr. Crispin doesn't spend it inappropriately, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. He'll love me for
I'll
that.
try.
All in favor, or do you have any comments? Sorry.
No, it's just exciting.
Yeah, yes it is. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. All right, next item on the agenda, resolution authorizing offering for sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2024-A, and general obligation temporary notes, Series 2024-1.
Who is that guy up there?
Take it, Mr. Kim Rupp.
Oh,
Rupp,
okay.
Director of Finance. So here's
Still?
where we get into more of the numbers, and last week we had David Arterbury, our bond advisor with Stiefel Nicholas here. So I'll attempt to maybe review a little of what he mentioned last week. So he started off with the calendar, and tonight's the first 2 steps in a 3-step process for issuing bonds and notes, and I realize it's been a while since we've done a note or a bond issuance, so a little bit of a review. The resolution and ordinance reviewed already establishes the statutory authority to issue GO bonds, basically enacting that home rule. Then we're asking you to approve a resolution to officially authorize the sale of the bonds. So after today, if approved, we'll work on the offering document, due diligence, seek an S&P rating, which I'll be very curious to see how that comes out, and do bid documents. The sale of the bonds and notes is slated for October 10th. That morning, we will be accepting and opening bids, and the lowest rate, of course, wins, and then we'll return to you that afternoon to seek to adopt the bond and rate resolution to issue those. After the 10th, we'll be working on a compilation of legal proceedings into a transcript with the closing slated for October 30. David went over this last week. I understand it's a little hard to read. Hopefully you had time to review the paper that we handed out, but this illustration is of the structure of the bond issue for Tallgrass Second to reimburse Heart of America. The yellow column illustrates the projected amount of revenue from the RHID going forward. That currently is at $4.135 million. 1% valuation growth was used in that estimate. So it was a combined effort between Grow Hayes and David coming up with that estimate. It also helps that RHID is substantially complete and already even has had a few resales in the area. The bond payments are in the green column on this illustration, totaling $3.992 million. And those increase over time, hopefully keeping pace with the property valuation increase. If that valuation outpaces the projection, then it is conceivable the RHID would generate more revenue and we could pay off bonds early. The bond issue is currently set at $2.66 million. That nets Heart of America $2.565 million in net proceeds going to Heart of America. Finally, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but last week David reviewed a little on the municipal bond market. The 1 year is in green, the 10-year in blue, and the 20-year in red on this illustration. This is a history over the last 2.5 years. Currently, you can see that we're at the lower end of the range of the volatility in the market. If we issued today, David indicated we'd be in the neighborhood of 3.8 on the bonds. Doug's very happy about that because we started out at 5% way back. And then possibly 3.5% on those temporary notes for the AMI project. As we all know, many outside factors can change those rates, including whatever the Fed decides to do, we talked about, and as well as the presidential race going on. I mentioned that the bond sale will occur on the 10th, so rates could change up to that date. But once we receive bids on the 10th, those are locked in and won't change up to and including the October 30 closing. So options would be to adopt the resolution, decline, or provide us with other direction, and this is our action requested.
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-021, authorizing the offering for sale of the city's general obligation bonds, Series 2024-A, and general obligation temporary notes, Series 2024-1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrick, second by Commissioner Ritter. Comments on that, or? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 This is 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rupp.
Mr. Bond Man.
Mr. Bond, yes. Next item on the agenda, golf course and pool fees.
Good evening or afternoon. Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. Talk about the golf course fees first, if that's okay. And so, a little background, in 2022, the commission voted to increase golf course fees. And then as part of that motion, there was future fee increases as part of that, with the caveat that staff would come back on that second year and discuss those fees with you, where we are, if we're falling into place correctly or if we're kind of getting out of balance again. So that is what I'm here to discuss tonight. Graph I showed last week showing the revenue versus operating expenditures. You can see the gaps closing down pretty good for 2023. So we had lots of discussion last week about the fees at the golf course, and so I did change these slides up to correlate to that those discussions. Basically, what we decided on was we'd leave the junior golf fee at $10. We would increase the 9-hole fee to $17 instead of $16.50. The 18-hole weekdays would go to $23, and the weekend holiday would go to $26. The single memberships would go to $575, and you can see represented in blue here on all these is where we'd be at compared to other courses. And the couple membership would go to $720. Family memberships would go to $740. The trail fees would go to $220. That's the actual recommended fee that we talked about 2 years ago. I think that's a good spot to be in. And then we would have no cart shed increases for next year. This is a reflection of how that would work based on if you approve those fees as recommended.
All things the same.
All things the same. Obviously, I think rounds will go up, to be honest with you, but I think that's the trend right now at our
Yeah.
course. So
Well, it's so nice, yeah.
I feel like this is a low number, but conservative. So that's kind of what we'd be looking at with those fee increases. Financial consideration, again, $24,000 increase if you approve those. And I stand for any questions that you may have.
So what will that $24,000 increase do as far as projections next year, as far as narrowing the expenses to revenue?
Well, it should continue to close. It's not going to.
I know it's not going to get it all the way there. I just didn't know
Right.
if it's going to get us halfway there or a quarter of the way there.
I don't think we'd get quite halfway.
Okay.
Not quite halfway. We do have some budget increases, salaries going up, we talked about. And so just being honest and conservative, I don't think we'll make quite halfway.
I think being able to cover just incidental normal increases is going to be great. Rec Commission was happy, where everything's all good with these rates on the pool, and
We're not there yet.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Jeff,
Sorry.
now you made me lose what I was going to ask him. Hold on
What?
a second. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll ask you
Do you
later.
think that where we're at now, that, I mean, in reality, I was maybe a little surprised that there's only, if you put all the memberships together, there's only about 300. Think that will, any of the increases will spur new memberships?
Possible. It's possible. Putting that in writing, no, I wouldn't say that in writing because I've watched the trends of memberships. They kind of maintain those levels. But, if the fees, the daily fees seem like, maybe it's more than somebody that plays a lot would want to pay, then they probably will become a member. It's just hard to say. I haven't seen any changes in that over the years, so I'm a little skeptical of it, I guess.
Sure.
Jeff, is there, we've seen increases, on number of people playing. Is there any barriers to keep us from growing even more? Is there anything that prevents us from growing other than the economy?
No. I mean, our course is beautiful. We've got the cart path situation taken care of now.
Right. But I guess our course can handle growth? I guess that's
Yes.
what maybe I'm trying to
Yes.
ask.
I mean, obviously, it's busy out there, but there's still
Right.
openings. There's still places times for people to play.
It'd be nice to have a new clubhouse someday on
It
the
would
wish
be nice.
list.
That is something that's been on a dream list for a long time. It's not quite big enough, but, and we did talk about cart sheds last week, so that's something that gets levels.
Sure.
So, is it a guarantee? No, but it could.
Maybe
Definitely
that's
could.
something for the future.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Well, moving on to the aquatic park. Again, we had fee increases that were approved in 2022 for the 2023 season. Those fees were in place for 2023 and 2024. And the approval did also include future fee increases to be implemented in 2025, caveat that I come back and visit with you about that. So this is the revenue operating expenditures for the pool. Closed slightly. So this is the average aquatic park fees, and actually I mentioned this last week. I had $4.75 in there. The commission chose $5 as the actual amount. That is not an average price. That is the price due to the flat fee that we have. The 50/50 at the bottom is an average of our early bird special passes and our regular season passes. So that is a average amount.
City's decision. Based off of our numbers this year, and our pool just closed this last Sunday, we had 21,504 paying customers. So the 25-cent increase would increase that by 5,376, and the 50-cent increase obviously would double that to 10,752. But they're okay with either way, and I've talked to Grant Lacey, our aquatics director, and we're fine with a 50-cent increase on the admission price.
Thank you. Thanks for the
Yep.
numbers update. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
You guys have any questions for him while he's here?
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry to interrupt your motion.
Oh, you're fine. I move to approve the golf course and pool fees as presented for the 2025 and 2026 seasons.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Jeff, I know last week we had a lot of questions, and I thank you for adjusting, and thank you with the Hayes Rec, just, I guess, listening to us and trying to adjust the best you can. So thank
Absolutely.
you, because I know you guys put a lot of time and effort into that, so thank you.
I think it's also important to understand, and it blows me away every time I think about how old our pool is. I remember how excited we were when it opened, and I think we really need to get out on the horizon and see what the future looks like and how we're going to pay for something. I don't ever want it to get to the situation our last one did, where it was just kind of nothing, and all of it, we had spent a lot. But I think there'll be some opportunities in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe. So I just want us to keep our eyes open and our ear to the ground, basically.
You know, my only argument to that is kids just don't go to the pool like they used to. And I just struggle to, you always want to look at something, new, but to invest in something that is never going to make us money I just struggle to continue to invest more. But when I moved to Hayes in 95, the pool we used to have was so much better than where I was at. And when we wanted to add this, I was kind of like, why do we need better? But it's so much better than what it was before. And I think it's great, and I think we need it. But I don't ever see pool increasing. I just don't.
I don't have any expectation that we ever make money on that pool, ever.
No, I'm
It's a quality
saying-
of life issue. I think that the pools that are newer and have done things have seen increases. I think that anytime when we added a new feature in the pool, it would increase. That last one we put in was a big bump, I think. And I think we just need to be in tune with the quality of life. And you may be totally right, no kid ever wants to go.
I don't know.
But when I'm there, it seems to have a lot of kids there.
It's just there's so many other, and we've talked about this, travel league sports that I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. Maybe it will, who knows. But it's just something future commissions has to look into. And, we've always done a good job of planning out, and I think we should continue to do that. And look what trends are. You can definitely get us trends from around the state and country, I would assume, so.
You did say 21,000-ish
That was paying customers.
paying customers? I mean,
That's a lot.
yeah, still not a number to shake your nose at.
No, absolutely not. And we need that pool.
192 that use the season pass daily.
How many?
192.
Very good.
Daily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's phenomenal numbers. I love it.
And I think you do have to consider looking ahead in the sense, if we never make any additions to the pool and other communities within driving distance do, we will lose
Oh,
people
I agree.
who want to go see a new feature and they'll drive to go to the pool for the day versus staying locally. So I think it's
You're
worth
absolutely
considering.
right. We had people bringing buses here when
we
we
did.
started, and then Dodge City got theirs, and
Sure.
when they started expanding. So do we want to be the next person that gets the buses coming this way as they're getting older? So it's kind of like a vicious cycle, and I won't say vicious, it's a good cycle.
That's good. So, well, and maybe with technology, we'll bring stuff that we don't know about now to maybe make it
And
more
again,
efficient and cheaper. possibly.
Opportunities.
Yep,
VR pools.
sure. For me, that'd be perfect.
Flow rider?
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. We're way off here. Next item on the agenda, Hayes Aquatic Park concrete repairs award bid. Holy cow.
Again, Jeff Boyle, Director of Parks. And we are looking at 9 areas down at the pool, 8 areas, I guess. Yeah, 8 areas down at the pool that have cracked concrete. Those are shown here in yellow. These are cracks that we've dealt with for years by grinding and crack filling, and some of them are to the point where we just need to replace the concrete. These aren't the only areas of cracked concrete, but these are the ones that need attention now. Aquatic Park opened in 2000. You know, it's a wet environment down there. I think that has a lot to do with this. You start getting into the freeze thaw. There's lots of moisture in the ground, so a lot of things going on here, but city staff does spend a lot of time working on this. These are some examples of the cracked concrete. That white that's along the crack kind of shows how we've been grinding to keep those level or get rid of jagged edges. That's a lot of times, it's just the jagged edges that'll cut people's feet.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes.
On the concrete, I'm just asking this because it's something we did down at our store, or the building owner did recently. With all the water constant, do you guys seal the cement, or is that something that's a one and done thing, or it doesn't do any good?
We don't seal the cement. What we do is in the fall, right before the temperatures start getting cold, we go down and yank all the caulking out of all the joints because the concrete has moved. And then we re-caulk it so that hopefully the winter snows don't sit there and just put more water into the concrete.
I didn't know you did
Trying to stop some of the freeze thaw and heaving problems.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And every time you say something you guys do with concrete, I always have to comment about, my husband thinks that our crew in the city with concrete is best around. And he loves to just sit and watch them work.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Thank you.
you bet. So that's something we do every fall. And we basically just try to keep the wintertime snow from getting in. But, you know, here's one that's elevated. That's actually a dangerous situation, had to be addressed. So these are the areas that we're looking at replacing. We did send out for a request for bids, and we got 3 bids from 3 excellent companies. T&T Builders was the low bid at $16,500. The balance of the pool reserve money that's set aside in the budget stabilization fund is $68,425 or $21. This is funds that were originally collected that were set aside for the pools. So that current balance is $68,421. If you approve this, that balance will go down to $51,921. These are your options. Approve the low bid from the Hayes Aquatic Park for the concrete repairs for the T&T Builders. Do nothing. Direct staff otherwise. And this is the action requested.
I move to approve the low bid from T&T Builders for an amount of $16,500 for the Hayes Aquatic Park concrete repairs from the pool reserve money in the budget stabilization fund.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Barrick. What year did that fund start? Do you know off the top of your head? I know it was a tax and stuff like that. I just don't
Well,
remember.
the pool was, I think the final payment was made in the first part of 2000. Was the last final, I think that's right.
But that's the money that's left over
That
from
is
the final
money from the
payment.
original pool sales tax, yes.
The original pool sales tax. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I just, having been a lifeguard when I was in high school, those cracks really help, you know, when you're telling kids stop running, those cracks really help make sure that the kids stop running. So I don't know what we're doing, trying to make it all safer.
How did I know that was coming from you? Good point, though. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Passes 5-0 with the cracks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Next item on the agenda, a resolution setting a public hearing for the establishment of a reinvestment housing incentive district, 10th and Walnut. Sorry.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. So the city owns a piece of land located at 10th and Walnut, which used to serve as the parking lot for the former Union Pacific train depot. In the past, the city has solicited proposals for the redevelopment of the area into a higher performing use. Local developer Mike Graham is proposing to construct 2 structures containing an aggregate total of 48 apartment units. 12 of those units will be 2-bedroom units and 36 will be single-bedroom units. Mike Graham has successfully redeveloped other areas in the city, such as 7th and Oak and 4th and Fort. Here's a conceptual rendering of what the complex could look like. And one actually is kind of being able to see how the buildings would sit on the site. So this project will be financed with the Reinvestment Housing Incentive District. It's a state program designed to aid developers in building housing, and an RHAD captures incremental increase in property taxes for up to 25 years, and then that revenue reimburses the developer for the eligible costs, which for the most part are basically any type of public infrastructure or land acquisition or site prep or anything, so more of the hard costs. This is an image of the district that was created. It encompasses all of 10th Street from Ash to Elm, as well as the alley to the north of the train depot parking lot area. You know, a lot of times with RHIDs, you're building new roads, new water. We won't be doing that with this. Instead, it'll be a lot of upgrading water lines, sewer lines, repairing some roads. So that's why that district looks the way it does. So this will be a pay-as-you-go project. The estimated RHID revenue from that improvement over 25 years is $1,167,000. However, the eligible costs that are estimated are just under $700,000. So this project should pay off before 25 years. A component of the development agreement that will be entered into later is a transfer of the property for the project's location. I mentioned that the site once served as the parking lot for the former train depot, and it's concurrently controlled by the city of Hayes. So this property will be sold to the developer for $1 once the RHID district is all created. However, the city will have the right to repurchase the property for $1 if the development does not occur. Your options are to adopt the resolution, decline, or provide other direction. The action request is to adopt the resolution. Now the public hearing will be scheduled for September 26th, and after the public hearing, the commission will consider an ordinance adopting that development plan and establishing the district, which would include that $1 provision to transfer the property. The Board of Education and County Commission do have a 30-day period to veto this.
When does that start?
Right after it's published, so September 27th probably.
Okay.
Assuming everything proceeds smoothly, the RHID will become effective October 29th. The developer must commence vertical construction no later than April 1, 2025, and substantial completion must be completed 30 months after construction begins. Questions?
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-022, setting a public hearing for the establishment of an RHID and adoption of a development plan.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Jacobs. It's an exciting project.
Housing we need, and it's an area where I like infilling places in the city,
Yeah.
and it really upgrades everything. And you know, Mike Graham has done some really nice work, and so I think it's very, it sort of guarantees it's going to be a successful project. So I'm very excited about it.
Private investment is so important. We've done so much with Grow Hayes working on housing and things, but every time we get a little more private investment in the community, it's more exciting. It means they have as much confidence in this community as we do. And I'm particularly appreciative of everything Mike does, and he does it really well.
And he's worked on this quite a while, and he didn't give up on it, so
Yep.
that's the best part. So, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, resolution evidencing intent to issue industrial revenue bonds, Chestnut Suite LLC. Suites, sorry.
Good afternoon, Jared Kuckelman, Management Analyst. So we're going to talk about a couple development projects, and the first is industrial revenue bonds, or IRBs, for Chestnut Suites. The developer has plans to renovate the building that currently sits at 1108 North Main. Building is the former site of the Hayes State Bank and Sunflower Electric, but it has been vacant since the 1980s. Project would involve renovating the building to become a luxury short-term rental Airbnb location called Chestnut Suites, with around 24 to 26 rentable rooms available, 3 of which would also be available to long-term renters or 30 days and up. The rooms would be designed in a style fairly similar to what you see in traditional hotel rooms. You'll probably recall that this is the project that was the same project that the city applied for a commercial development block grant, or CDBG, back in May. And we did just receive notice last week that the CDBG was awarded. So the next steps in that process will be continuing in the coming weeks and months. So here's the location of the building right off Main Street in downtown. Here's a view of the front and back sides of the building. Some images showing what the interior currently looks like. And then here's the basement. Here's a floor plan showing what the basement could potentially look like, with some rooms set up, different kinds of rooms like king bed units, standard double units, some economy units with single beds, etc. There'd be more rooms on the main level, and then even more rooms up on the second floor. So the developer is seeking industrial revenue bonds, or IRBs, for the purposes of this project. IRBs are a unique bond issuance, which are meant to provide at least one of 2 incentives, either a property tax abatement and or a sales tax exemption on construction and remodel materials. In this case, the project is not eligible for a property tax exemption, is only seeking a sales tax exemption. IRBs do not affect the city's debt limit or rating, do not require taxpayer commitment, and the developer is solely responsible for the payment obligations of the bonds. So at this stage in the process for IRBs, a resolution of intent is passed, and it only states the city's strong intention to issue IRBs in order to grant the developer a sales tax exemption certificate for the purposes of the construction project. The actual bonds would not be issued until the project reaches substantial completion, and if the bonds were for some reason not issued, it would be up to the developer to pay back the exempted sales tax payments. The developer estimates that the total cost of the project is about $3.2 million here. No general obligation or special obligation bonds will be issued, as the city serves only as the conduit issue, and the payment obligations are solely the responsibility of the developer. So these would be the options for you today, and this would be the action requested.
Move to adopt resolution number 2024-023, evidencing an intent to issue industrial revenue bonds for Chestnut Suites.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Straightforward.
Pretty straightforward.
I want to know where the haunted house is going to be.
Who cares? Oh, sorry. I hate
He does a
haunted-
great haunted house.
Yes, he does. I hate haunted houses, though.
Haunted house at Paisley Pear this year.
No. Well, October maybe. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, resolution evidencing intent to issue industrial revenue bonds, Gella's Diner and Liquid Bread Brewing Company, LLC.
Jared Kuckelman, Management Analyst. So here's our second IRB project today, this time for Gella's. So Gella's Diner is looking to renovate the existing building located at 121 East 11th Street, which is located right to the east of their current space. The goal of the project is to create an approximately 3,750 square foot event space that could also host culinary classes through Fort Hays Tech North Central, or formerly NCK Tech. And should everything go according to plan on this project, the expectation would be for construction to start sometime in the fall. So here's the project site. Like I said, just to the east of the current Gella space. Here's an outside view of the building. Here's an image looking at the interior as well as a preliminary floor plan. You can see the kind of large event space seating as well as a pretty big kitchen in the back that could serve for the culinary classes. So once again, IRBs are a unique bond issuance in which the city only acts as the conduit. This project is only seeking the sales tax exemption on materials incentive of the IRBs. And I'll repeat that IRBs do not affect the city's debt limit or rating, do not require taxpayer commitment, and the developer is solely responsible for payment obligations. The developer has estimated a total project cost here of about $1.3 million. No other bonds will have to be issued by the city besides the IRBs, which would occur once the project is completed. So the options here today would be the same as the previous project. You can approve the resolution, decline, or provide other direction. And this would be the action requested.
I move to adopt resolution number 2024-024, evidencing an intent to issue industrial revenue bonds for Gella's Diner.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Reuter. Any questions?
This just makes me smile. That is so, going to be so cool to have. Not many communities have something like that. And to have it in our wonderful downtown is just another attraction. I just think it's great. Congratulations to Yellows.
Well, I think both of these, I mean, it's
Yeah.
infill,
Yep.
you know, and it's exactly what we want. So I think it's great.
It's like the last few puzzle pieces to developing downtown.
Yeah, it's exciting. It really is. So.
Very cool. I just want to, have a question, Jared, between you and Colin. I mean, and working with math, from when you're in elementary school, significant digits, significant figures, man. Jared's up here going 1.3 million, 3.2. Colin's up there going 1.5675 million. I mean, what's the significant digits on there, man?
Oh, legal documents.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
Aye.
We have all in favor of the motion.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Commissioner, I just do want to, I had a meeting with Colin this week, and I asked for a future work session to visit IRBs. We don't have a current policy to limit anybody from using them. And I just personally think that they could be used for stuff that's, like, what this is being used for is exactly what we want. But there's ways that it could be used where it wouldn't be a benefit to our community, and I just think there should be a policy.
But wouldn't that have to be approved here anyway? If somebody made the
The
request?
current economic development policy says that you review them on a case-by-case basis. A lot of communities have more specific standards, more specific would be considered policy objectives for specific incentives like IRBs. So it'd certainly be up to the commission's direction if they'd like something more
I'm not saying it's a
directive
bad
towards
idea.
developers.
I'm just, when we start putting policies in place, I don't want it to ever to appear that we're policying somebody out of being able to make a request. That certainly probably wouldn't happen, and
Or tying the hands of a future commission.
yeah, true.
They could always adopt it, change that
Yeah.
policy.
They say go away.
Right.
I don't, it's really.
I don't disagree. I just think it's something that we should talk about. I'm not saying that we should govern or whatever, but I just think it's something that I'd like to look at.
I think we
If
could,
it's something we talk about and we all, hey, it's not worth it, then we'll just leave it as is.
I think we can have that discussion, but I'm kind of.
I don't disagree with you saying it at all. Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, progress. We
Nice
love
work, Jared.
progress. Thank you, Jared.
Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager. So at Canterbury Union Pacific Railroad crossing pavement repair, as you can see in the left picture, as the straight edge laying on the pavement shows, it's a little bit crooked.
That's not a speed.
This is an area that Ellis County Public Works controls and it's their responsibility, but the city did assist them in replacing this area of concrete. At 13th and Stephen, there were some ADA curbing repairs. This was following Water Resources fire hydrant and repair that happened there, so then they replaced the curbing gutter for ADA improvements. Another ADA curb and replacement at 20th and Fort. And to help resolve some drainage issues along General Custer Road near the compost site, Service Division opened up drainage culverts and placed concrete to assist with the flow. Grade work was also accomplished along the ditches leading to and away from the driveway culvert. Water Resources also helped with this project. Service Division employees repaired a failed ADA ramp at 13th and Fort. And then Service Division employees converged on the downtown area last week to repaint existing but faded pavement markings throughout the area. 81 gallons of paint were used in total. Hayes Fire Department hosted the Rex Intellectual and Development Disabilities Program for a tour of Station Number 3. 55 people were in attendance. After a storm on July 15th, staff removed limbs that were obstructing roadways and intersections throughout town. You can also see the damage that happened at the golf course. Nearly every pin at the golf course was blown over, with some snapped in half. Numerous pins had to be repaired.
That would help my putting.
Colin, on that, if the flags had all been pulled that night, would that have been prevented?
I think so, yeah. Something for us to do.
Oh.
Staff have been adding dirt to low spots along walking trails and sidewalks throughout town. That's if we knew, of course, the storm was coming, I think.
Well, sure. I just didn't know.
Yep.
We don't routinely move them, obviously. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Staff have been clearing the nature trails and trimming sprouts off trees in city parks. Park staff received assistance from Water Resources to help expose the irrigation pipes by using the back truck at a tight location so then parks could easily repair a leaking valve. Officer Pat Kelly stopped by to support the Hayes Blaze soccer team as they sold donuts on the morning of August 3rd. I did talk to Chief Scheibler. He told me that they call them power rings.
Ah.
He told me that.
I love this. Oh, I
Community
love
service
it.
officer safely removed a badger from the downtown area during the farmers market on August 4th.
What would bring a badger into a community?
Because they don't care.
I had to ask.
Sergeant Dakota Reese's shift constructed a boat and took part in the Big Brothers Big Sisters Duck Derby boat race at the Hayes Aquatic Park. The police department is sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Hayes for the event.
How did they do?
Not as well as the Water Resources, I know that. Water Resources maintenance staff responded to a water leak at 13th and Eisenhower. They've also been repairing some hydrants. Here's one at 32nd and Cottonwood Lane. And another at 1708 Sunset Trail.
Colin, I know we asked a while back about the fire hydrants. Does that complete all of them?
I think there's a few more on the list. I think, if I remember Chris, I think at one point he said they have 8 left. So some of it's about getting around for time, materials, parts, ordering those.
I was gonna actually bring that up. Last progress report, we asked about that, and Jeff Crispin sent me a list that they had, and it's just taking time to
Yep.
get them all done, so it was nice to have that update.
But the fire department is aware. They keep in contact, so there's
Yeah.
never a disruption there.
Yep.
The Water Resources Department entered a cardboard regatta boat for the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Hayes Aquatic Park. Water Resources placed first in their heat and took 3rd overall,
That's awesome.
Police department didn't.
or the fire department. On July 29th, Melissa Dixon and other Hayes Sister Cities board members presented a $2,500 scholarship to local Hayes High School senior Caleb King to attend the Youth Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C., which is hosted by Sister Cities International.
Great kid, too.
The summit engages future leaders and hopes to inspire a new generation of citizen diplomats. Caleb was one of only 49 applicants chosen to attend, and he will share his experience with local civic clubs this fall.
Very cool.
On August 19th, CVB staff welcomed new students at the back-to-school picnic at Fort Hays State campus. CVB gave away Hayes stickers, distributed local and state information, and held a drawing for Hayes prizes. Over 1,200 students checked into the event, and the CVB captured over 220 new email addresses. On August 21st, Hayes hosted Leadership Kansas, a statewide program for future leaders from various Kansas communities. CVB assisted in meeting space reservations and assembling VIP backpacks for 40 participants. Melissa Dixon welcomed the group at the venue at Thirsties, and Commissioner Jacobs served as a moderator for a water discussion that included Holly Dickman on water conservation.
I have to say publicly, she was an absolute rock star. And if we don't watch out, everyone in that room, from every community they were from, would like to hire her, including Wichita. They were very, very impressed with Holly's information. John Quinde, in Toby's absence, actually was there as well to talk about the R9. And they both did a really, really good job, albeit they had their time shortened because somebody else went long. But they were really impressed with Holly, and they probably had another half an hour's worth of questions if we'd had time.
Holly's always willing to help other towns, and
That's what we told them, and she's happy to and send them the information. They actually asked to have the slides sent to them that she had that had showed some pictures and data and so forth. So.
She's always willing to help other towns, but not move to
No,
other towns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Luckily, her family's very embedded right here in this
Yes,
community.
let's keep that.
Yes.
J-Corps continues to make good progress on the 2024 water line project. They're about 80% complete. Replacement of the co-op alley is underway, and this is the final project of the 24th Street Maintenance Program. This alley should be completed by the end of August. And water and sewer have been completed on Wheatland. Curb and gutter have been poured, and the asphalt is complete. Cleanup and utility installation have begun. I believe there's 12 new lots for homes that will be built on the east side of that road. So that's it.
I'd like to make one more comment. What Melissa gave you to put in here happened, it finished yesterday at 4:45. So she got that in there very quickly. But I also want to compliment her. Melissa, you do an amazing job. She stepped in at the last minute. We had a lot of changes that happened unexpectedly. She stepped in to help. She was there for every bit of it and offered to stay even longer and do other things. So I just can't tell you. I talk about our team all the time, but there's just nobody better. Thank you very much.
Agree, would agree. Hayes happenings.
I just didn't know how she got that in there so fast.
Begged.
Technology.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon from the Hayes Convention and Visitors Bureau with some happenings for September. First, we'll have Labor Day weekend. And then we're going to go to Go Truck Go, September the 5th. And this will be in the area between Early Childhood Connections and Cross Point Church. And you will probably see some city vehicles there. The 40th Annual Frontier Open Disc Golf Tournament will be September 7th through 8th out at Frontier Park. This event had 180 participants, and it sold out in 2 days. And it has a waiting list of 30 people.
Jeez.
So if you know of a great space for another disc golf course, let me know. On September 12th, there's going to be a special event downtown. You should have got an invitation for Tiger Nation United.
Yeah, but they won't let us go.
We
If
tried.
you get there late, that will be fine.
We will be there.
We will be there.
This is kind of a pep rally style event to celebrate these 3 schools coming together. So Fort Hays Tech North Central, formerly NCK Tech, Fort Hays Tech Northwest, formerly Northwest Tech. They'll each have their own community celebration. The one in Hays, Thursday, September 12th. Free snow cones, free T-shirts, a lot of fun and games that afternoon downtown.
Great event.
The organizers of the citywide garage sale are having another one, fall. This will be September 13th through 14th throughout Hays. And the Hays Community Theater will present part of the children's theater production, Gran's Guide to Stop an Ogre, September 13th through the 15th. The Fox Theater will once again host Logan Mize, September 13th. And these shows don't come around very often, but this is an all-ages show. The 9/11 Memorial Event and Stair Climb. 9/11 falls in the middle of the week, so they had to choose a Saturday on either end. This year it'll be September the 14th.
You know, the mayor last year did that.
The mayor walked around the track last year.
The organizers.
No. I was mayor, and I did the stairs. But I'm saying the mayor this year should do
Do the
Stair
stairs,
climb,
I
yeah.
think so.
The organizers want to make sure people
That'd be
know
good.
you don't have to do the stairs. You're welcome to attend and walk the track or just sit and be present. It's a very powerful event.
It is.
Usually our city first responders are there. There's announcements telling you when things happened on September 11th. It's Very powerful event.
And they do it in full gear.
Highly recommend.
I did that last year. My kids told me, Dad, there's no way you can do it. I told myself I had to do it, and it was hard. And to watch those guys in full gear do it, well, the city manager
City
did it.
manager did it
Yeah,
in
he
full
did
gear.
it. Yeah, full gear. That is amazing.
It is. It's a great
Much
event.
respect for those guys.
Okay, we'll see you there, Sandy.
I'll be there.
In full
Wines
gear.
and Steins signature event for downtown will be September 14th. Stroll downtown while you sample and shop. And the Prairie Winds Kite Show is coming back around. This will be our third year to do this, September 15th, which is a Sunday out at Bickelschmidt Sports Complex. And we will have even more food trucks and tourism partner activities just in case there's no wind. There
There
will still
will
be
be
things
wind.
to do.
There will be wind.
And the fire department invites you out for Front Door Friday night, September 20th, 6:30 p.m. at the fire station on Main Street.
Do they have a barbecue? They feed us hot dogs or anything?
Surely there's snacks. If not, CVB can sponsor something. Hey Symphony will present Dark Whimsy, September 28th, 7:30. Those shows are always free at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. And the Fort Hays State Encore Series always presents a wide variety of shows. This musical actually won 6 Tonys. So I'm very excited to see Dear Evan Hansen. It's also a movie. 9:30, also at the Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. Sorry, September 30th, 7:30. And then to close out the month, TMP's Homecoming Bonfire. I don't know about that 7:15. It'll be just let it get dark first, and then Parade Friday, game on Friday as well. And then don't forget this weekend downtown Friday night is the Art Walk. So
And the symphony.
and the symphony concert, Pops concert, Let's Dance under the pavilion, 7:30.
7:30.
We'll see you there. Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Melissa.
Comments, Commissioner Barrick.
Well, I think it's obviously it's back to school week, so it's pretty exciting and to get all of the Fort Hays students back in school and get all of the elementary, middle school, and high school kids back in class, which means it's also the beginning of sports season coming up. So, looking forward to all the fun excitement that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, and weather's still great, and look forward to the art walk this weekend. I do know that one interesting thing, there's going to be an exhibit of a whole bunch of all of the paintings, posters of Smokey Bear
Uh-huh.
are going to be in town for like a week before it moves up to Wisconsin. They're going around the whole country, but Kansas was an originator of the person where Smokey Bear came around. So that's going to be kind of fun.
I heard you have some turtles on loan at your place. Is that correct?
They are some very large Aldabra tortoises.
Tortoises. Sorry.
Well, tortoises are turtles, but not all turtles are tortoises.
Tortoises.
This is the thing that you learn when you come to the museum.
I'll be there because I think they're pretty cool.
They are very, very cool. They're only 6 years old, and they're already the same size as our tortoises in the museum.
Really?
Wow.
And those tortoises in the museum are 20 and 70 years old, and these are
Wow.
just 6 years old. So they're going to be 3 to 4 times bigger once
Wow.
once they get to be.
And you're partnering with the local business.
So it's we're basically helping out our local business at the RV park because they have to build their enclosure for them. So we're sort of helping take care of them, babysit them, as you will, until he's got everything ready for them. But it means there'll be chances for people to come out and visit some very cool tortoises.
That's cool. I'll be out. I like it. Commissioner Cunningham?
Yeah, welcome back to Fort Hays students, and then all the local schools are back at it as well. It's almost parade season as we start at the end of September to begin the homecomings. So yeah, I guess that hopefully brings a little bit cooler weather and leads us into fall. I don't have much else.
Commissioner Reuter?
No, I don't have a whole lot. Welcome back to school. Just want to give everybody a real brief update on the Youth Leadership Advisory Board's been working on some projects that they're getting lined up. So September 25th, that Wednesday, they will be having their mock election is what they call it at Hayes Middle School. There's quite an attendance of elected officials they were able to secure. And then they're going to show the kids, they're actually going to have 2 of the members are running a campaign showing them what candidates, like a good candidate versus a bad candidate, or however you would qualify that as.
Are they watching
I
national
could
TV?
be one,
or-
and Sean could be the other.
And then
I'm not
they'll-
saying which.
Yeah.
So they'll have a panel that they kind of learned from the last one they did, ask questions, explain to kids why it's important to vote, and then they'll get to vote on those 2 candidates as well. And then they've got a few other events they're working on, and then they will be partnering with the Women Who Lead on focusing on youth mental health sometime in the near future as well. So that's pretty cool.
Good stuff. Commissioner Jacobs.
A couple things. I want to also welcome the students back to Fort Hays, but I also want to tell you to please give them grace as they're driving on the roundabouts as well as the one-way streets. You always know when school's back in session when they're coming at you on the one-way street. So just kind of move over a little bit and wave. Happened twice today. I always have to laugh.
All 5 fingers.
I did. I waved with all 5 fingers. I guess I know how they must feel.
Yep.
They're just, anyway.
takes time.
We're thrilled to have you back, kids, so we'll give you grace. If you've been down Canterbury, you will see that the house is gone that was on the corner of 27th and Canterbury. And the dirt has been leveled for the start of the community center, which he cries a lot. I don't cry as much, but I had to sit and cry a little minute about that. That was pretty exciting. You only got 1 more week, or 2 more weeks. Anyway, it's so exciting because you plan for this stuff so long, and you spend so much time thinking about it beginning, and it's never anticlimactic to me. When I see it actually begin happening, I realize the things that we're doing in this community and the partnerships we've started and the collaboration that's going on to make really wonderful things happen, and I'm extremely proud of everybody. And having said that, I hope the public really hopefully understands everything we're doing with IRBs and RHIDs and the stuff that we're working on. We're working for sustainable growth in this community. And without those projects that we're working on now, I can't guarantee, and none of us can guarantee, that that will be the case. So please take the time to smile as you go by and thank the people that are working on these projects. Thank you.
I could not agree more. Just a little bit of what you touched on. I got a chance to welcome Leadership Kansas. You were there and many others. And, that's kind of the thing, is bragging on what we got going on, what we've done. And, we're not even close to being done with what we got in the pipeline. So it's exciting when people come to Hayes and, they get off of I-70 and they realize there's so much going on. So, and I attribute that to us and commissioners before us to set us up in a good way, and now we're taking advantage of it, and it's exciting. So, yes, ma'am.
One more comment. I had the opportunity to have
Wait till she's ma'am.
dinner last night with former Commissioner Schwaller, and he commented on all the wonderful things that continue to happen in the community. He was back in town, as he gets back often, but he was commenting last night all the great things that are happening.
That's good to hear. So, and yeah, welcome back, 4-day students, and good luck with the school year with people involved in schools. And let's have a good year. We're adjourned.